Well, that's exactly what you're going to get. Because, are you ready for your next comedian? Give it up for your very own Kip Stolberg!
Thank you, Dee. If you indulge me a little bit here before we get started, where are you from originally, sir?
Limerick.
I don't know. Who's the most famous athlete that you knew growing up?
The only one that everybody knows nowadays is Conor McGregor.
Well, yeah, okay, that's it. How about yourself?
Idris.
Okay, who's the most famous?
Now Mohamed Salah.
Okay. How about you?
Japan.
Yeah?
Ichiro Suzuki.
Okay, I've heard of it. You go. How about you? Where are you from originally?
I'm from Germany.
Okay. Oh, and what's the most famous athlete that you knew growing up? You're not into sports ball? Not at all? Okay, that's fine. So, my 3 claims to fame are that in college I won a contest and I got to open for Jay Leno. I was voted the funniest person in North Dakota. The entire population of the state of North Dakota is a tenth of Lisbon. It's like 300,000 people. It's very small. So my second thing is I got Kristen Wiig, the movie star, to help me propose to my wife. That's another story. And the third one is that I performed improv for the OJ Simpson Jury. Now, imagine those people that you just mentioned and they had committed murder. This is what O.J. Simpson was at that time. Everyone loved him. He was a football star. He was in movies. He was a spokesman for many different products. And he was accused of this very heinous crime. You're probably all very young, but he was accused of killing his ex-wife and a friend of hers in a very gruesome way. Lots of blood. I won't get into it. And I'll get to how I got to perform for him. So he was accused of this, and then they had a trial, and he had all the best attorneys, and that was the first time you ever heard the name Kardashian, because their father was the main attorney for O.J. Simpson. What happens is in big trials like this, the jury is sequestered, which means they're separated from the family. They stay in a hotel. They're not allowed to watch TV or read newspapers or anything like that, lest they be prejudiced by the coverage. So I was in this improv group called Improviside, and the guy who's leading the group, he saw somebody who had performed just a piano recital for the jury, because they couldn't go out and do things. And he thought, well, why don't we try and do that? And it's like, we all thought, there's no way, because this judge can't control what we're going to say, because it's improv. We don't know what we're going to say. But he wrote a letter to the judge, Judge Ito, and we didn't hear anything. Like 3 weeks later, we get a letter saying, you will be performing for the O.J. Simpson jury on February 7th. And it's like, what? And it was very, very odd. And so imagine that, where you're doing improv and you don't know what you're going to say, but there's certain things you couldn't talk about. You couldn't talk about, obviously you couldn't talk about murder, you couldn't talk about trials or lawyers, but you couldn't talk about football. You couldn't talk about orange juice, because his name was OJ, Orange Juice. They called the juice. You couldn't talk about any of that stuff. You couldn't talk about Hertz rental car, because he had been a spokesman for Hertz. So, try to be funny and not cause a mistrial. Always fun. So, earlier you saw us play a game called Pick-a-Line, right? And we all file into the courtroom. They're sitting in the jury box. They're very nice people. They were really, really nice people, and because at that time, nobody paid. The only people that paid for you to do jury duty was the post office. So it was old people and postal workers. And so we were explaining the game to them. And they said, just write something that, from a movie or just like you explained to you tonight. And there were a couple of people that just didn't understand. I said, just like something you said this morning to your, sort of like, please pass the eggs. And so we're doing the bid. And I pull out, so we're all doing this, and I'm like a guy on the beach telling my girlfriend to put suntan lotion on my back, and I pull out a piece of slip and it says, please pass the eggs. Have you guys ever seen the movie Jaws? There's that one scene where Roy Scheider's character, all of a sudden it pans out and you just see the background go away and this comes right to his face with this sudden realization. That's exactly what happened to me. Because in that crystallized moment, I knew this man was going to go free. Because if there was any way that these people couldn't understand this simple game, there was no way they were going to understand DNA evidence. He was going to get off scot-free. No matter how much they explained it to him, he was going to go free. And it was just one of those really weird moments when you're on stage where time stops. Usually it's when I can't think of anything funny to say, like right now. So I'm going to say thank you very much for listening and indulging me.
I'll give it up for Kip Stolberg.